right, good. So the get-in people. The get-in people, what happens with the get-in people, the get-out people just had one party, that's it. It was a bomb. But the get-in people got a couple parties. You had the party at the graduation, right? And then you had another party when you found out that your child got accepted into college, right? Now there's one more get-in people. Parents, raise your hand. Where's your parents got kids going off to college? Raise your hand, raise your hand. Let me tell you about this other get-in party. The other get-in party now when you packing up that trailer, right? So now the anxiety is kicking in, right? Now you start to yell at your child over some frivolous stuff. Look at this, you done left them drawers. Don't get down to that college and leave your drawers in the bathroom, right? So now, parents, you start catastrophizing everything, right? Look, I asked you, you keep forgetting. You can't get to college and start forgetting. Parents, raise your hand again. Raise your hands, parents, right? But it's a wonderful time when you start packing that U-Haul truck. So let me tell you what it feels like when you get on that college campus and you see a whole bunch of you, right? You see these parents, right? First thing you got to do when you get there, you got to get your dad's shirt, right? So, I wore the Spelman dad shirt with my oldest child. Man, that was a good feeling walking around seeing other Spelman dads, right? And with my middle child, when she was at Tuskegee, right? When she was at Texas A&M at College Station, right? I had the Texas A&M dad, the Texas A&M shirt, right? We had matching shoes. I'm all in. My baby, when she got into Tuskegee, she's a senior now. But the Tuskegee dad, so in my house, I have all my Tuskegee dad stuff. My wife she ain't into it. I am. I'm all in, right? So we got the Tuskegee stuff. So get your Tuskegee parents, get your university parents stuff so that you can see yourself, because you've got to celebrate what you did. You've got to celebrate that your child thought enough of what you poured into them, that the physical manifestation of that sacrifice was the ritual that you all are about to do now, that once the vehicle is packed up. Now, I'm going to tell y'all this right now. Bose, I'm a masculine, I'm macho, I'm hard, right? I'm all that stuff. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I did good when that oldest one went, right? Because she was just in Spelman. So, I needed to just slow the car down about 5 miles an hour and kick her out. But I did good with that oldest one. My middle one, when she went to Texas A&M, y'all need to understand this. Let me put this in perspective. She started her freshman year, the year that Trump got elected. I was in Texas. On every TV screen was Fox News. This was a glorious time. So my anxiety with that middle one was through the roof. My anxiety then with that middle one was like, look, so when you get down there, babe, and so now I'm catastrophizing. I'm preparing my middle daughter for war, so my wife had to pull me out. She's like, and if them white students say something, don't give them the benefit. I was going all in. So this is the benefit when you evenly yoked, because she said my anxiety was through the roof, so she had to pull me back and said, she'll be fine now. But I was a nervous wreck. But that youngest one, when I dropped that one off at Tuskegee, boy, this was like a Color Purple moment. You remember in the movie Color Purple when he separated and said, get from here? And I was like, what? What? Boy, I was boo-hooing watching that youngest one go off to college. And she turned and she looked back and she said, bye, Dad. I'm like, bye, baby. My wife was like, well, she ain't going to jail and she ain't going to a concentration camp. And she's an hour and a half away. I'm like, I know, but my baby. I'm telling y'all, it's okay. What the song say, trouble in my way, I gotta cry sometimes. Sometimes it ain't trouble. Sometimes it's the most beautiful thing. Sometimes, parents, your blessing can be quite overwhelming. Right? That notion of that cup running over and literally what that feels like. And that's what's about to happen to you in terms of, because you are get-out parents. And you've been moderating parents, and so now they're getting there, and the strength, right? Remember I said the moderating variable speaks to the strength. So the strength of what you're doing now, your child gets down there, and they say, because the sacrifice my mama and daddy made, I got to get down here. And it is a psychological transition for some of them. because now they're away from your supervision. And now they have to wrap in their mind what it means, because now you can't take your honors course into the classroom. Your National Beta Club card doesn't work. The beautiful thing about the cycle of life is that it goes through and starts all over again. So now they're leaving high school as the big man or big woman on campus, right? Where everybody know them, especially if you got them athletes, everybody know them. They're the most popular person on the planet when they leave high school. And then as soon as you get on the college campus, you some dumb little freshman. Right? Older students give your freshmen wrong information just so they can watch them laugh and go to the cafeteria thinking it's a financial aid department. You know, that's just the rites of passage program. The adjustment is the next piece I'm going to give you all as parents. It is a little adjustment. And for some of the kids, right, this transition with the boys is the funniest thing. For some of these kids, right now, y'all don't understand this. I don't know if this happened to anyone else, but sometime between high school graduation and leaving from college, they want to road test their manhood. Right? Sometime, somehow, right then and there, well, that's where I'm going to college anyway. I can't wait to leave. Right? They having all these conversations right now. They can't wait to leave. And some of y'all can't wait for them to leave. Right? So you have this whole ritual that's taking place right now where they can't wait to leave. Let me tell you what's going to happen. Come about, school starts in August. Let me tell you what's going to happen maybe September, October. What's going to happen around September, October, y'all are going to start seeing an uptick in calls and FaceTime. So the thing I want to help you all understand, what I don't want you as parents to underestimate, when you get that Zoom call or when you get that Facebook call that FaceTime call or that duo call, here's what I don't want you to underestimate. When they are feeling powerless, when they are feeling overwhelmed, and then your kid calls you with some random call, hey, Dad, hey, son, what you doing? Nothing. I was just checking in. Okay, bye. And then you looking like, what was that call for? And they gone. Let me tell you, they need to see your voice. They need to see your face. And they need to hear your voice. And that give them the energy. So when nobody is around, all their friends, and their doors is closed, and now they crying to mama, I don't like it here. I want to come home. And then somebody knock on the door to get their act together. Here I come. A lot of kids go through that. The adjustment of being away from home. You're going to see it, parents. And some of your kids have a great deal of power over you. Some of your kids may say, I don't like it here. This is not going to work. And if they start having the success on you the way they're intending, then you're going to start thinking, well, maybe this is not the right place. Parents, let me tell you what I need you to do. I need you to keep encouraging it. You need to almost let them know that you're going to paint their bedroom. Right there, this door is not two-way, but do it in a loving way. I need you parents to encourage them to continue to stay there. Check in on how they're doing. Have you joined any clubs? Right? Here's what we do know on a college campus. There's 1 million clubs. 1 million clubs, right? Every university has the Georgia club. They got the California club. They got the Chicago club. So we have all these different organizations on campus, and the purpose of having these organizations on campus is to help with the socialization. If you got musicians, they got the music club. Whatever it is, if there's art, they got the art club. Whatever it is your child is into, they have it. But the beautiful thing about college is sometimes there are gifts that your child had you never knew, and they never knew they had them until they get on the college campus and get these new exposures. Who knew your son was a poet? Who knew your daughter could sing? Who knew your child was a community organizer? You saying your son, you running for freshman class president. What? This here, the socialization part, is the part, parents, I want you to play. Believe it or not even so much the academics. the socialization part, I need you all to pay attention to, because we have to focus on how they are adjusting, right? So in my fraternity, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, we have a motto that says we party hard and stay out late, but most of all, we graduate, right? So that means that we understand the socialization process that takes place, and we tell students, you are not going to have any better time in your life than in college. There is no better time in life than being on college. But the trick is about the discipline. That's the piece. When I'm telling young folks, yes, I want you to party, but let the party be the reward for getting your studying in. Let the party be when you thought you failed that quiz and you got a 90. Let that be the party. Or let the party be you thought you failed that quiz, but you got a 60, but the professor graded on the curve, and your 60 is now an A. Let that be the party. Let the party be when you finally meet for the very first time in your life grace and mercy. Oh, wait. Y'all missed that. Let me help you understand about your college students. When they meet for the first time in their life, mercy. That means you walk into a classroom, and you sitting in the classroom, and in that moment you discover that there's an exam, and you wasn't paying attention, you didn't do no studying or nothing like that, and you like, I'm about to fail this class. You take the quiz and discover you happen to know everything on it because the little bit that you did study was the primary thing on it, and now you got an 80-something. That's mercy. That's the first time you meet mercy. Y'all with me? When you get that, or that grace in college, that unmerited favor that you get in college, that for something about the spirit, because you sent your child to school or church or you did whatever, and your children go and they're spiritually sound, and something about that spirit when that child is on the college campus and the professor says, well, you're not doing well in school, but it's something about this young man's spirit. I can tell in his spirit that he wants to succeed. Right? So this is why it's so important to be spiritually grounded, because that spirit will enter the room before you do. Oh, how am I doing, Ralph? Does that make sense? The spirit will enter the room before you do. Now, what does that mean? That means I'm a college professor, so the first day of class at Clark Atlanta University, I like to get there very early. And I sit in the back of the room in the corner. I watch them enter. I'm not paying attention to who they talk to. Y'all believe this or not, I'm looking at their spirit. When I walk up to them and I say, good morning, how are you doing? Boy, that spirit going to hit me right then and there. Right? So that you raised in that right spirit, we see that spirit because my spirit, if I'm a student and I'm struggling, Keisha, my spirit may connect with the professor's spirit. And now that professor is literally doing that. You know what? This child failed every one of my doggone quizzes, but I like him. So guess what? I'm going to give you some extra credit. I have to tell students all the time, let me tell you about extra credit. It's extra. It's not substitute. Because you didn't do it. If you don't do an assignment, then you're not eligible for any extra credit. Because it's extra. But the right spirit will move on a professor. So if I'm telling you about what the wonderful thing the right spirit will do, what's the inverse of that? That bad spirit. Now, when that bad spirit come into my classroom, I'm going to tell you all this right now. I see that bad spirit that come into the classroom. Sometimes that bad spirit is a byproduct of childhood trauma. Right? So that means that me with a professor with a good spirit my spirit has to do some spiritual counseling to that spirit. Because now I got a young man that has what we say in the mental health world, an oppositional defiant behavior. That means just something about authority figures, particularly black men, that just sets them off. Now here they are in my class, and I'm telling you, you need to go to the lab because you're not going to survive my class unless you learn how to write. So these are some things that I don't care what college campus you're on, these are some things I'm telling you right now that your children will begin to learn. The first one is critical. That means when you talk to them, these are the things I'm telling you all, right? These 9 things I'm going to give you all is the things I want you all to pump into your child their first year in college. Y'all ready? Number 1, how to handle rejection. You've got to learn how to handle rejection. That means you failed, period. Jay-Z says, go on and dust your shoulders off. Rejection, the inverse of rejection is resilience. So when you talk to your child, it's about resilience. So you failed. You failed. So now you know when you fail, the only thing failure does is tell you the gaps. That's it. So as you talk to your children about failure, help them understand that don't make it bigger than what it is. Right? So dealing with rejection is number 1. Y'all got it? Well, I'm telling you, this is some meat. What did Molly call it, the fat head? I'm about to make your head fatter, right? So number 1 is rejection. Number 2, y'all ready? Here we go. How to handle correction. Right? First is rejection. Number 2 is how to handle correction. Correction is critical because I'm going to tell you this right now. The primary people in our life who corrects us, Jahai, are the folks who legitimately love and care for us. Those are the people, when they correct us, they're actually got our best interest at heart. Does that make sense? So as a stranger, if I walk up to you, if I have no emotional connection or investment in you, and I walk up to you as a stranger, and I say to you, I don't like that tie, it will have no effect on you because we have no emotional or spiritual or relational ties to each other. Right? However, who is this young lady? Okay, your wife, your queen. Now, if your queen says, I don't like that tie, it's going to have a whole different response to it. So correction, really, in terms of people that we are connected to when they correct us, the majority, 90% of the time, correction from people who care for us is designed to make us better. So what you have to understand and get your children as you talk to them when they start complaining about the professor is that the correction cue is about making you better. As a freshman at California State University, Hayward, when I took my first sociology class, and this is in the 80s, y'all, I took my first sociology class. I'll never forget the first thing the professor did is that we all had to write this handwritten essay, right? And soon it was over, she turned it in. We came back, that was a Monday. When we came back on Wednesday, she handed everybody's paper back. This white lady handed everybody's paper back. And once she gave everybody's paper back except for mine, let me tell you what she did. I said, Dr. Siebert, I didn't get my exam back. Let me tell you what she did, symbolically speaking. She did this. Give me your hand. He said, come with me. And she walked me down the hall in the sociology department. She walked me into the tutorial center, the writing lab, and she sat me down. She brought the tutor over. She gave the tutor my paper, and she said, young man, there's no way you're going to survive my class, let alone college, unless you learn to write. She said, so I'm going to pretend like I did not get your paper. And I want you to work with the writing lab. And I don't care if you have to do it 5 times. I need a college paper turned into me in a week. So what would happen if I struggled with correction? I would have took it personal. I would have internalized. But I'm going to tell you, even as professors, when we submit articles to journals, there's an editing and review board. They get it back, and they butcher the paper. When we get our articles rejected, it will cite grammatical errors, and we didn't do the APA format. But it's designed, they say, submit this again, right? So the biggest thing we look for as professors when we submitting articles to journals is an acceptance with corrections. or a rejection, but with modification. Meaning that I'm going to tell you what might get this paper accepted into this journal if you correct all of this. Right? And so number 2 is correction. Helping them understand that people who correct you is there to help make you better. Right? So number 1 is what? Rejection. Number 2 is what? Correction. Number 3, how to deal with pressure. Pressure, 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 pressure. Anybody tell you that's how diamonds are formed? Pressed down, shaken together. Pressure is what happens in college. Because in college, as professors, we don't coordinate with other professors in the universities to see what papers you have. In my class, I'm saying, these are the 3 books you have to read. These are the 3 papers that you've got to write. This is the quiz. And I don't know what Dr. Bozeman is doing, who you see next. But this is what's due in my class. So number 1 is rejection. Number 2 is correction. Number 3 is pressure. Number 3 is pressure, right? So dealing with the pressure, understanding it is the pressure when you learn to multitask under pressure. When you learn pressure, when you learn to organize. When you see a student is missing stuff and is late, they're under pressure, what I need you to do, parents, is focus on their organizational skills. Boy, you got all that technology. Put it on the calendar. Send your alert so you know when quizzes are due, because you have to deal with the pressure. It is not designed. College is not designed to be easy. It's how you get better, how you perform, because I'm going to tell you all, there's a difference. I'm going to introduce y'all to something right now. There is a difference between your capability and your capacity. There's a difference between your capability and your capacity. Some of us have met our capability. You think that this is all that you're capable of doing, but on the other side of your capability is your capacity. Your capacity oftentimes is untouched, untapped. But when you get under pressure and now you realize that you're performing better than you ever have. If you've been in college, you've written a 20-page paper in one night, you met your capacity. But that don't happen until about your junior year in college. I ain't gonna sit up here and lie, boy, my greatest work, man, happened under pressure. Because not all pressure is bad. Sometimes pressure is designed to produce. So number 1 is what? Number 2 is what? Number 3 is what? Number 4 is how to be wrong. Number 4 is how to be wrong. Let me tell you the biggest problem. Now I'm going to step into my family therapist side. And I have to work with couples sometimes. And I'll say to the guy or the woman, your challenge is you struggle with, you don't know how to be wrong. Let me tell you what being wrong looks like. Yeah, I know I was wrong, but if you hadn't done this. Yeah, I know I was wrong, but what about you? What about the stuff that you do? When you don't know how to be wrong, you don't know how to just own it. So yes, you're right. I may have made those mistakes too, but right now we're talking about you. When I made those mistakes, you should have brought it to my attention, right? So how to be wrong is one of the critical things. I always tell people the 3 biggest lies that we tell ourselves is let it ride, let it slide, and let it go. The truth is we don't let it ride, slide, and go. We store it. And we wait for another opportunity to bring it forth. So that's why we talk about how to be wrong, why it is so important. That means you own it, right? So the next is responsibility. Taking responsibility is the next piece. That means own it, you all. That's what it means, that when you're wrong, you make the mistake, own it. Don't use that incredible, intelligent mind to come up with a justification why you're wrong. So what that means, talking to the kids, it says like this: yes, son, yes, daughter, I know you were mad. Yes, son, yes, daughter, I see you actually had every reason on the planet, son or daughter, to be wrong, but how you handled it is what I'm talking to you about. Because we have to learn that there's a difference between your emotions and your behavior. So responsibility, taking responsibility. Next, as we bring it towards the end, is accountability. The accountability is just that. The accountability means understands that there are consequences that come. So I might accept your apology. You sincerely apologize to me, and I sincerely accept your apology, but there's still the consequences. So a student cheats, they apologize, I accept their apology, but that don't mean I'm going to change the grade. You still got an F. That's accountability. The last one, and I close here, and that is related to the last one is integrity. The integrity is the most critical piece because your integrity is like your spirit. The integrity means that when you enter the room, who you are, I'm going to take you at your word. Here's the interesting thing about me. I believe and take everybody at their word until you show me something different. So your integrity speaks to you. So before you all leave, have that conversation about your integrity. Be a man, be a woman of your word, because your integrity is going to take you much, much further. So at the close of this portion of the sending forth ceremony, I want to congratulate you, the get-in parents. I want to congratulate you, the moderating parents. I want to congratulate you, the parents who are going to take the time to focus on their rejection, focus on their correction, focus on their pressure, to focus on how to be wrong, to focus on their responsibility, to focus on their accountability, and to focus on their integrity. My name is Dr. Gary White, member of Let Us Make Man. Thank you, and we look forward to the rest of the sending forth ceremony.
Everybody all right? All right, we're getting ready to bring up the young people. We're going to bring them in. So what we're going to ask you all to do is when they enter, if y'all can stand up and celebrate them as they come in. I know you have been celebrating since they graduated. And you're celebrating, and some of y'all going to get teary-eyed when you drop them off and leave them or take them up to the campus. But today is all about celebration, and each of us will share what we have shared with them, right, so that y'all know what we've been addressing. So first of all, if you don't have a child here, would you stand up for us, please? You don't have a child downstairs, just stand up. Let's give them a round of applause, parents, right? This is community. This is what we're going to need, is that folks come and show up even when it's not their child. That's important. So thank y'all for being that kind of community member. All right, with that, just give us a couple of minutes. We're getting set up, and then we'll be up in a moment. Everybody all right? All right, I'm going to bring somebody up here to sing in a minute. I'm looking. All right, thank y'all.
All right, look out. There are a number of people watching us right now. We are doing live on YouTube and Facebook, and that's why they told me to go get the microphone, because they couldn't hear. But I just said to a couple of my ministers, both of them have expressed interest in working with youth, that this stuff right here is some of the best information I have heard, and that any parent who has a young person in a church, we should have this kind of training. And so because we are recording it, we're going to make sure that we transcribe. I got some of our members and other friends who are watching right now, and I want to thank you all for watching on YouTube. And y'all can see me, YouTube and Facebook. And I hope and pray that you will take some of the knowledge that we have heard and are gaining here and apply it to your own family, youth, church situation, because this is good stuff. That's why I like Let Us Make Man. They take it all the way down to what's so practical. And I'm sitting here as a father of 3, having gone through this 3 times and thinking and laughing at myself about how I reacted. And all 3 of our children are doing very well. but everything he has said is so true. It is absolutely true about parenting and our reactions, about community, about working together, about covering our children, particularly what he said about the young boys, the young men, covering them and making sure that they're going to have all that they need. We promote here at First Iconium being able to read and write. Got to be able to read and write. And especially being a young black man. To not be able to read and write sets you back a mighty, mighty long way. And so we want to encourage us as we are raising our children. We have oratorical contests here at the church so that they can speak. We have writing contests, and we reward them, $250. First place, 150, second place. We just do all of that. And we reward them for helping to perfect their oratorical skills and their writing skills. Because when they go to college, it's going to make all the difference. It's going to make all the difference in the world. And when I was coming up, and I will say that was during the time when it was pretty much all black schools, you had to know how to speak. You had to know how to write. I remember diagramming sentences, y'all. They don't even know what that is nowadays. And when we graduated, we could write. We could speak from our schools. And somewhere we got away from that. And we look at what is happening to our young black males now. What has been shared with us is so fundamental, so basic. Just making sure that our young boys, the three things, know how to read, know how to write, know how to make a dollar. Not steal a dollar, how to make a dollar. You know, how to use a little bit of ingenuity to create a business. We had a summer camp here several years where what we did was taught our young people how to start a business. And I'm just talking till they get back. But how to start a business. We had them to meet bankers, had them to meet CPAs, had them to meet folk who started businesses, CEOs. We had them to meet political figures. And before they could finish that summer course, Dr. Daniel Black, who's over there at Clark, used to run that camp for us. They had to produce their business, and many of them made some good money during those times too, because the church supported them in their business. We cannot just teach our young people, particularly our young boys, how to get a job. That's okay, but we got to start teaching them how to start a business and to have the right resources and to know the people in the community, to have the right kind of connections. Because we send them to college, and then when they come home, they can't find a job. They get frustrated. They're going to try to find a quick fix, and they're going to end up moving and traveling in the wrong direction. We want to keep them moving in the right direction. That's why, say this, I know to come, I love Let Us Make Man. It's a Let Us Make Man commercial for me. Ever since, I don't know how many years ago, Derek, it's been now. It had to be about 17 years. That we first met, and I fell in love with Let Us Make Man. I like what they do because I saw the results. You can see the results of Let Us Make Man. You can see it in the young people. Many of them who've gone through the programs now are outstanding in their communities, doing great things, and all of them are giving back. Telling you what I know. All of them who have been a part of Let Us Make Man, they're giving back to the community, because that's how they were taught. That's how they were brought up. So I just want to thank you all for being here. Thank those who are on live right now on YouTube and Facebook. And when this is over, it's going to still be on YouTube. So you can go back, write down those points. You can go back, use that for your youth group. Use that for the parents in your church or in your community. You'll be able to look at this again and make sure that you got all the points that were made. This is the parent session. I hate we weren't able to do the graduate session that was downstairs. I hope somebody may have recorded it or something, because this is good stuff, y'all. This is good stuff. Now, I don't want to be, I'm just talking till they get ready. But I think I'm about to talk. I don't want to talk too long. They're about ready. When Derek called me and just said, Rev Mac, we're going to have this graduation, this crossing over, and we're going to be honoring these who are going to college. Is First Iconium, would it be available? It wasn't even no let me check with, let me find out, because when you know the history of Derek Bozeman, when you know the history of Let Us Make Man, we just say, yeah. And then I had to find my audio video folk. Thank you, Brother Green, and thank you, Rondell, and thank you all the others who made this possible. I said, y'all just be there. And they were here, and they showed up. That's how we're doing it live right now. Because when you get something this good, you want to tell it. We don't tell our stories enough in the African-American community. We don't tell our stories, particularly our success stories, enough. And we're going to continue to do that. That's why I don't care about no COVID right now. We're talking about our young black men. We're talking about Let Us Make Man. We're talking about crossing over. We're talking about building community. And I'm a firm believer, this is just me now. I believe that the Holy Spirit got us covered. I believe the Holy Spirit got us covered. I got my mask right here. I want y'all to see it. But the Holy Spirit got us covered. And I ain't going to be naive and all that, but I know when the covering is upon us. And so I want to thank you. I see some of you have your mask as well. And thank you, Derek. I can't thank you enough, Holly and the brothers.
I do want to ask, I know they're making it way up, all the educators, any other additional educator, if you teach at the college level, high school, you work in the school, raise your hand. We want to acknowledge you also, because before we leave, we're going to make sure we say, for how many of y'all have already gone back to school, have young people who've gone back to school? So we want them to have a powerful and a productive year. How many of y'all just glad they're out the house so you can watch your story the right kind of way? We just glad they finally. We're in church. You know, it's just like you get your story time back, right? You be able to keep up with all my children and everything. So we're glad the summer is finally over, and that we're able to reclaim some of our time. We feel kind of like Maxine Water, don't we? Want to reclaim some of our time, but it is important given all that we've gone through, and. So they are coming, and so that means they're on the way. But thank you all who educate, our bus drivers, or those who cook the food, the cafeteria workers, those who labor and to make our children's lives better. We're grateful also for you. So before you leave, we want to make sure that we have Reverend McDonald and some of them speak a word to you, because sometimes we have to encourage ourselves. Sometimes it gets tough. Well, we ask, man, we see you fighting all the time. Do you ever get tired? I say, absolutely. So that's why I keep connected to folks like Reverend McDonald. Because every now and then, I just need a word spoken into my life to give me the strength to keep going. Because I done divorced black folks and quit on them and everything for a long time. Because some of y'all will fight hard for you, give you a scholarship, won't even say thank you. But I also realized it was never about us. It was about if we can just raise up one, two from this village that we all profess to be a part of, then they go out and they will realign their lives. We have been just doing that one act with that young student, change the trajectory of their lives and realign generations. Because your son's son can be the beneficiary of what you learn. These young people going through this ritual, and think not unimportant rituals, because they are what connects us one to another. And it gives us a sense of being. We are the griots in the community. It allows us to know what they did. What you're going to see, symbolism, iconography. Everybody know universally if you come to a stop sign, it's going to be red. That's universal all over the world. So what we have to do is give our young people resiliency by showing them the icons. This is going to repeat in your life. And so you get an opportunity to repeat it. So you see this ritual that Brother Akinyele Umoja is putting together, Professor of African Studies at Georgia State. You will be able to understand that this did not just start a few minutes ago. And on that note, I think we are ready. And I'm going to sit down and listen and watch Let us all stand and receive those who are returning to the village. Let's give them a big round of applause, thunderous round of applause as they come.
Thank you, community. Thank you, community. Y'all applaud your community, your family. Please have a seat. Please have a seat. Thank you all. It's my honor and pleasure to be here to help facilitate this, our African Sending Forward ceremony for these young men who are about to go away to college. And we're excited about that because so often we read in the news about other things that they focus on about our young men. But today we give thanks for these young men who determined that they would be scholars in our community. So I'd like to bring up a brother that you all know very well, who continues to inspire us, to encourage us, to keep us moving in a positive direction as a people. We'll bring up Brother Derek Bozeman, the convener and founder of Let Us Make Man. Come on up, Brother Bozeman. Let's give it up for Brother Derek Bozeman. Dr. Derek Bozeman, the Honorable.
Good evening, family. Oh, y'all can do better than that. Good evening, family. It is indeed an honor, privilege for us to engage in this rites of passage, if you will. For the village is saying, well done to these young men who come now to present themselves ready and anxious about the next development of their lives. We are entrusting with you the spirit of the ancestors. You are the ones that made it. You are the ones who were called for a time such as this. Our people on tobacco fields of North Carolina, cotton fields of Georgia and Texas, they prayed that there will come a day when one who remind them of themselves would be able to stand and walk in a brighter sun. So today you are the promise, and we stand as the vanguard to let you know that you do not stand by yourself. It is your time. It is your season. It is your opportunity. And if you don't take advantage of it, it's your fault. And we're just here to say to all of the parents and those who are gathered here, Reverend McDonald and his magnificent church, to all that we hold dear and sacred, thank you for entrusting us, entrusting this village with the responsibility of sending forth these young men in a way that is speaks to our dignity, speaks to our humanity, speaks to who we are at our best. So thank you and welcome to this ritual, this sending forth service. Thank you.
You know, I think oftentimes as a community, we can be real hard on the black church and black preachers. But isn't it good to know that Reverend Timothy McDonald has been a torchbearer for a long, long, long time. There's not been a fight that we've ever gotten into that Reverend McDonald has not run in, ready to go, ready not just to step in front of a microphone, but to go to jail if need be. That's the kind of pastor and reverend and man of God who would open up his church and have us here. And so we just give thanks. And we pray that others will model this kind of revolutionary behavior in our church. Y'all can stand up and give them a round of applause now. We got to acknowledge good work. And we say that they are long distance and love distance runners, and he is both a long distance runner. So we like for the senior pastor of this church to come forward and in whatever way he'd like. Thank you, Rev.
It's an honor to host this gathering. Since Let Us Make Man began and Derek and I met, I've loved this organization. I love what it does. I love seeing these brothers. I love seeing these parents, these community leaders, these faith leaders, all in one place. It's just community at the end of the day. That's what it's about us being there for one another. I have learned so much being a part of Let Us Make. I've learned a lot that has helped my church be a better church through Let Us Make Man. And so I'm honored to host. I'm glad that you are here, and I'm just looking forward to you going and doing great things and coming back and reporting to the community how the great Creator, the Spirit, the Holy Spirit has used you to do great things, to give back to the people, and to make all of our communities bigger and even greater. So thank you for being a part. Our prayers are with you as you go, as you graduate, as you learn, as you grow. Our prayers will be with you. And always know that First Iconium is a place that you can come back to. I tell folks, this is home, y'all. This is home. And I'm not one of them parents that kick the kids out. You can always come back because that world going to kick you enough. I know what I'm talking about. You're going to be kicked all over the place, and you need a safe space. This is a safe space. And you can always come back home. God bless you. Looking forward to the rest of the ceremony. Our prayers are with you.
Some of y'all may not remember this, but initially George Zimmerman was not arrested. And there was a group from all over the country that had to load up on buses and go down to Sanford, Florida as a show of that we won't stand for him to continue to walk around free among us after killing one of our babies. We gathered here in this church, got on that bus and drove all the way to Sanford. Not just one bus. How many we take, Bose? About five buses. But I just wanted to reiterate, because sometimes our memory can get foggy. That's what this space has been. So we just give thanks for you, Rev, and the consistency of being a part of our liberation movement. Thank you. Baba is going to lift us in libations, and he can explain it. This is Baba Akiela Moja. Hopefully you all have read the program. I don't have to do a long introduction. They say anyone that needs a long introduction probably doesn't deserve one, and he doesn't need one. We just call him affectionately Baba AK, but he has been a leader in our movement and a mentor and godfather to me. Baba.
Thank you, Baba Molly. What libations are is the tradition that really comes out of our people in Africa. Just the acknowledgement of the Creator and everybody whose shoulders all stand on. I was listening to some of the conversation earlier, and some of us talked about our parents, grandparents, who couldn't get an education, right? You know, and so we want to actually salute all those people. They prayed for a day like today. And so if you are able to stand, could you stand? All right? First salute the Creator in heaven and all of our ancestors who sit at the feet of the Creator, Ashe. We salute all of our ancestors who are fortunate enough to be buried in the soil of Africa in a lifetime which is to come, Ashe. We salute all of our ancestors who died during the Middle Passage, you know, when our people were coming over on them ships. We salute all our ancestors' names we just do not remember in the lifetime which is to come, Ashe. We say, oh, ancestors, blacker than the skies at midnight and brighter than the noonday sun, and all the beautiful shades of Africa in between. Great ancient priests, warriors, and mystic scientists, the field slaves, the house slaves, domestic workers, the factory workers, the clergymen, professionals, the freedom fighters. Give us the inspiration to fight 1,000 lions, Ashe. Give us the enlightenment to unravel the mysteries of the universe, Ashe. And give us the sustenance to travel through the trackless swamps of disharmony. We honor always your names. We ask you to join us on this joyous day of celebration as we send these young people, these young men forth. Ashe. Let's call out some of those names of our personal ancestors whose shoulders we stand on. I call out my father, Vanderbilt Lewis. Ashe. Call out some of those names. Ashe. 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 Now, there's some names that we all know. You know, there's some names that's important to all of us. Brother Mel called out Marcus Garvey earlier. He's important to all of us. Let's call out some of those names who are important to all of us. Ashe. 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 Queen Mother Moore. Chokwe Lumumba. Ashe. 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 And for any of those we have not named, we salute them. We salute and we call upon the spirits of the children yet unborn. And we say, Ashe, 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 oh. You may be seated.
Community, we have 6 young men that will participate today. We'd ask those 6 young men to rise. Brother Parham, can you bring them forward? We're going to ask these young men to introduce themselves, say what family member is, you know, who their parents are, what high school they graduated from, and what college or university they will be attending in short order. All right? Thank you, brother.
My name is Quintus Parker. My father, Quintus Parker Sr., my mom, Charlene Parker, she's not here right now. Graduated from Cristo Rey Atlanta Jesuit High School. Now I'm going to Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University.
My name is Rodney Tabb. That's my mom back there, Jimmy Tabb. And I graduated from Chapel High School, going to Lenore Ryan.
How you doing? My name is Douglas Evans. My father is Douglas Evans III. My mother's Isis Dukes. My granddad is over there, Isaac Dukes. I just graduated from Maynard Jackson High School and down the street. And I'll be attending Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University in the fall.
Hello, my name is Kobe Allen. My parents' name is Terry Leeds. My dad's name is Christopher Allen. The graduate from Carver High School, and I will be attending Untitled College.
Hello, my name is Mace, and I just graduated Arabian Mountain High.
Doing? How you doing? My name is Christopher Ruiz Jr., son of Christopher Ruiz Sr., my dad over there. I just graduated from Douglas County High School, and I'll be attending Tuskegee University.
Y'all give it a round, give these young brothers a round of applause. We want to give you a standing ovation, and you ain't ran a football, made a basketball, hit a home run. We're applauding you. We're standing up for you because you are going to college to do the right thing. We're going to keep clapping for you, keep applauding you. Thank you, brothers. Brothers, if you all will slide back, can I get our follow Brother Parham? Those that gave instruction, would you all step forward, please? That gave instruction to our young people downstairs, please step up. Parents, community, I want you to, part of what we want you to know is the quality of the people who just spoke life into your child. And so I just want them to introduce themselves and say one word that they want to say to these young people as they get ready to depart. So these are what we call mwalimu, which is a Kiswahili word for teacher. Nowadays, unfortunately, teachers have been at times criminalized, demonized, but in our tradition, you would just go get it. These folks just let them think. So that they could communicate. They wouldn't have to do work because their work was thinking and imparting wisdom. And so we want to lift that up today and acknowledge them for coming and giving of their time. Most of whom, except for one, don't have any children that are in this group of 6 young men. So they came because they wanted to be here to give what they got back. All right?
Thank you, Bob Molly. As I think about what convener Brother Bozeman said when he got up, and my name is Doug Evans III, proud father of Doug Evans IV. Try not to tear up, Baba AK. But as I think about what Brother Bozeman said, that's all right. And he looked at the young faces, Brother Mel, and he said, you look like the dreams of our ancestors being answered. And so I thought then when you said that, DB, about Special Field Order number 15. And I thought about Tuskegee. I thought about Florida A&M. I thought about Fort Valley, Albany State, the land of Prairie View, the land that we were given because what they took. And when there's a Georgia State or a Florida State or a Texas A&M, they got the land that we didn't get. And so Special Field Order 15 was supposed to be righting the wrong of slavery. And so these colleges that you're going to is really our reparations that we will never get. And so if you go down there and you only party, if you go down there and you don't come back with anything short of 1 degree, Special Field Order number 15 was just for naught. So today, this is the start of that 40 acres and a mule that our ancestors would never enjoy. Go down there and fulfill that promise.
And I was introduced before Akinyele Umoja, known in the community as Baba AK. I'm actually going to say something later, so I'm going to save time for other brothers and our sisters. Okay.
Thank you, Baba AK. Greetings, family. Good to see everybody. My name is Fred Parham. I'm a career educator. This year's year 21. And yeah, it's a distinguished honor and privilege to be here. But in a word, young men, patience. Downstairs, I gave a couple of comments about your personal development, enhancing and enriching who you are already, not leaving to find yourself. But in the process of that, in the process of the enhancing yourself, arriving at your greatness, it will require an abundance of patience. That elusive virtue for most, but the prize for those who make it. So how do I do it? First, be patient with yourself. You're gonna stumble a bit in the next 2 to 3 weeks. And you'll find your balance with the help of your brothers, whose community you will build in the dorm, in your dorm room, in your classes, and that mentor, like Mel pointed to, an upperclassman. Secondly, patience with your professors, because you're going away in a new experience, but they have expectations of you, and you have expectations of them, and that's gonna take some time to gel. And then thirdly, patience in achieving that goal. You're going to have some setbacks. You're going to stumble. You may even fall. That's okay. It's key to get back up. Lastly, there's an African proverb that says, how can you heal from an illness if you keep it a secret? So if you stumble, fall, don't keep it a secret and wait till it's in triage mode, right? Call for help.
My name's Miguel Dominguez. I'm an attorney in town. In a word, represent. Represent your family, all your ancestors you never met, and parents, great-grandparents, on through, all the way back, in everything, right? Represent in the classroom. Represent with young people that you're going to meet that you don't even know yet, that are going to be some of your best friends you ever meet in life. Some of those brothers and sisters won't have had this. They won't have had the that you have. Won't have support being sent off this way. Represent with them. No one else is watching. Keep them straight. Don't forget what you've been taught. Bend the rules or water it down because they don't have the same. Keep representing. Represent. You meet the young ladies you're gonna meet. Right? Show them what a real man looks like. Keep representing all the way through everything you do, all the time.
How you doing? I am Marty Monaghan. I'm the executive director for the Black Man Lab. So proud to be here watching young men matriculate. The word that I would give you is integrity. Move with integrity in everything you do. Move in a way that when nobody is watching, you are accountable to yourself. Right? What I mean by that is simply this. Would those that came before me be proud of what I'm doing right now? Always ask yourself that question. Will my parents be proud of what I'm doing right now? Whatever it is. If you're out partying with, your friends, am I doing this with integrity? When I'm in the classroom, am I doing this with integrity? Simply, would my people that came before me be proud of what I'm doing? And if in your mind you know that they wouldn't, change what you
do. Good afternoon, everyone. Attorney Terrell Thomas, member of Let Us Make Man. Extremely proud and grateful to see these young men going on to the next step in their journey. The word that kind of resonated with me when asked to come up with one was just going back to myself in my college days, is restraint. Restraint. Kind of going with what Brother Miguel kind of touched on. When you're out with your friends late at night, it's going to get lit. Y'all still say lit? All right, cool. It's going to get lit. So when it gets lit, restraint. Whatever you partake in, whatever being partaken in, whatever you're consuming or whatever it may be, restraint. Romantic relationships. No, ain't gonna be no curfew. You're gonna have your own dorm, your own apartment. She's gonna have her own dorm, her own apartment. gonna be situations, strength. You might be going out again with your homeboys, homecoming, people there, there's athletes, there's the football players, there's the locals, gonna be people from all over, from Savannah, from Florida, there's gonna be boys from Mississippi there, you don't know them, they don't know you, there might be an altercation or a conflict, strength. Coming back and forth from home, from midterms, exams, final exams, holiday breaks, on the road, you may get pulled over. Law enforcement interactions, strength, right? So that's the word I'd like to leave with you, strength. Thank you, and I'm proud of you.
Good job. I'm Mel Burrow, Brother Karaoke, founder of Urban Pre-College Education Network, Serenity Club, attorney and a CPA. The word that I have is habits. You develop the habit. You know, Carl Jung, famous philosopher and psychiatrist, says it takes 21 days to develop a habit. The most important days you have is right in front of you. Whatever you do in the first 21 days is what you're going to be doing in the last 21 days. So it's important to get out of the blocks real well, because the most important part of a race is the beginning. So it's habits like sitting up front, first three, you know, there's a study, an imaginary study that says that 80% of the A's and B's in the first 3 rows of the classroom. So you sit up front, habits like that. If you know you're in trouble and you know you're in trouble, you bomb an exam, you contact your academic advisor. It's not a big secret. It's not a mystery. And they have resources like tutors. So don't be afraid to ask for help. So developing these habits, hanging around, finding a mentor in your class or a study buddy in your class, because if and when you miss an exam or have to miss class, you have somewhere you can supplement and provide you with that missing information. And who you hang out, and the final one is live in the library. If you want to learn how to bowl, you go to a bowling alley. You want to learn how to play tennis, you go to a tennis court. You want to learn how to swim, you go to a swimming pool. If you want to be a good student, you live in the library, and it's the safest place on campus.
I'm going to shorten it even more from a word to a letter. We in a church, but I'm going to use a letter, the P. I need you gentlemen to understand the power of the P. The P is infection. The P is for party, plan, perform, pursue, and produce. That's what I need you to do. Party, plan, perform, and produce. But what's critical about that P is that it's directly connected to your circle. Iron still sharpens iron. So what does that mean is that your circle, Master P said, I can predict your future by looking at the friends that you are involved with. So the P is critical, and the circle is the second part of that. What does that mean? If you're the smartest person in your circle, then you need a new circle. Right? So do not allow those negative, ill-prepared people to become weapons of mass production or destruction in your circle. So you have friends you party with, but you need to understand those who are focused on planning, performing, producing.
Dr. Fabian Farr, community activist, longtime supporter of LUM. So to sum up what all of my brothers before me have said, my word of the day is accountability, right? Sometimes your support system may not look like your mom and dad, right? So that's where your village comes in. So if you ever find yourself in a situation where call on mom or dad first, call on your village. And that includes me.
I forgot to get my name, Dr. Gary White, professor at Clark Atlanta University.
Can we give it up for these Mwali Mu from the community? Thank you, brothers and sisters. And I wanted Dr. Farr to come up, and I shared this downstairs, is that I invited her up not just because she has been a long-term supporter of Let Us Make Man, but her daughter works in our law firm, and I've seen her product. I've seen what she has produced in her daughter, and it's a beautiful reflection of her. So I just want y'all to understand that who took a moment, took some time to pour into your young person. So with that, Brother Parham, can you bring the brothers up, and you want to give them the charge from standing? Come on up, brothers.
There's a couple of things I wanted to say since I had the opportunity to say this. I want to, again, acknowledge Reverend McDonald. And his accomplishments have already been spoken to. But I want to just point out one thing. I learned a proverb from E5, which is traditional African spirituality. And it said, all that's required is character. And he doesn't remember this, I'm sure. But decades ago, after my family moved here to Atlanta, my wife got a note on the car, and she had an old raggedy car. Somebody had hit her car by accident and left the information. They could have took off. It was Reverend McDonald. Left the information and was very courteous and handled it right away. And it just kind of speaks. A lot of times, the greatness of the person we see when there's no witness. And so he demonstrated that there, and he mentioned that this is a safe place. Reverend McDonald, my son actually went to kindergarten, went at Freeform Academy. Now he has a PhD in science. So I just want to acknowledge the man. Well, I have an opportunity to, in public, to say how special he is of a leader in our community. Well, that's rare, very rare. So we need to honor those who demonstrate that character and that fearlessness for our people. Brothers, they asked me to give you a charge. And when I think about a charge, and this is a very special one for me, because this spring, it would have been 50 years, 5 decades since I graduated from high school. 5 decades, 50 years. I ain't going back to the reunion, Brother Jared, but 50 years since I graduated, so it's very important to me. This ceremony is important to me because I always think about not just my generation, but even before myself and Reverend McDonald, it was very difficult for our people, particularly men, to get a college education. My father wasn't able to go to high school till he was in his late 20s. And fortunately, there was an adult program that allowed him to go to college. But in many of our communities, you would be sent away as we're doing today. And the community would gather. And they would give you, as elders used to say, a little piece of money. Some people might fry us some chicken because you'd probably be catching the train or the Greyhound to get to the college and put it in that brown paper bag. It'd be grease on the side. And I tell you from somebody from that generation, we used to love that fried chicken that would be in them paper bags. It would be some of the best chicken in the world, from them old sisters in the country. But that was the charge. But they would give them this charge that what? Had to come home and contribute something back. Okay? Even in my generation, when I went to college in the early 1970s. And that was on the heels of a movement of our people, not only the civil rights movement, but they struggled on these campuses to establish black studies, where I lived in California, to even open up the mission for more of us to go to college during that time. Our people were rumbling on those campuses. Many of them went to prison. Okay, one of my mentors went to prison during that time. And when they recruited us to go to college, they would say, when you get through with this degree, had to come back and make some contribution. That's what this Let Us Make Man is. You got some very talented black men, professionals, educated. In the hood, they say they're educated. They got degrees, but they're making a contribution to even have this today. So our charge to you is to do everything that folks talk to you about doing. Because please believe me, and I say this as a college professor, say this with somebody who has a PhD. It's not about how smart you are. It's about these things folks told you to do. We all are brilliant and have talent, but it's that discipline. It's deciding to get up out of bed, deciding when to go home. It's deciding who to associate yourself with. And so all of those things are important to be successful. But then after you are successful, you have those credentials, and there's two things you're trying to achieve. One is some credentials that open some doors for you, right? And the other is to know how to do something. That's the actual education, skills that you're going to acquire. You need to know how to do something with those skills. Then how will you contribute them back to make our people stronger, to make your family stronger? That's your charge. You know, you're continuing the legacy of our ancestors. You're standing, we began with libations. You're standing on somebody's shoulder, right? So that's your charge. You got to continue to let the circle, and as you become parents sitting on this side of the audience, or you become the walimu who are teaching, you make that contribution and you continue the cycle for the next generation. We go from one generation to the next. Some people would have thought with our story, we wouldn't even be here. And we are here with you. Beautiful, young African men carry on this legacy. I'm going to move into the next part of this ceremony. And we have these substances here that represent different aspects of your journey at this point. And so, speaking of going to college and surrounding yourself with the right people, I actually learned this rites of passage ritual from people I met when I went to college. Okay, it was some brothers I met who were called the House of Umoja. That's where my last name comes from. And we were African society. And they taught us ritual, and they taught us philosophy. They taught us how to maneuver during that particular time. So we're going to have you taste these 6 substances that represents different aspects of your life. So we're going to ask each one of you to take one of these cups. Don't drink it just yet. 6 ones. The first one we have is strong drink. Okay? Some people just call it liquor. When I did it on Sapelo Island, they brought me some moonshine. Okay? But what does this represent in this ceremony? Our people call strong drink spirits. Spirits. And this represents the power, the blessings, the talent you have that come to you. Some of us, and I think about in my family, man, there's somebody way back in Africa. I'm inheriting all of their, blessings, whether it's health-wise, whether it's intellect, whether it's all that, but also I'm inheriting my grandmother's prayers, my daddy's prayers, all of those folks. So I want you to taste this drink. The brothers caution me not to put too much in your cups. So go ahead. Yeah, if you don't want to drink, just put it on your forehead. Okay. The next substance we have right here, and we used to just pass the bowl around, but we don't do that since the 2020. We're not trying to create no mass disturbance up in this place. Okay, the next one is honey. For the sweet times in our lives, sweet times. And it was talked about when you go to college, there are going to be some sweet times. You're going to make some good relationships. You're going to make some friends. Some of you will make some love relationships. You're going to get mentors, you know, whether it's another student, an older student, or even professors. You know, there are some students I developed relationships with, they lifelong. Brother Kenyatta Bush, who's a part of this organization, minister. I met him as a college student. I met Molly when he was in law school. You know what I mean? And they become lifelong relationships. So for those sweet times you're going to have. And there will be parties. That was one of the P's that was mentioned, but don't party too much. But for those sweet times, we want you to taste the honey. You can just put your finger in there and pull it up. Okay, so always remember those sweet times. The next substance we have is wine. Our ancestors teach us that everything in the universe has an opposite. For those sweet times, you're going to have bitter times. You might have some friends, might be talking about you behind your back. You know, you'll have some friends you find out you can't really trust. Okay? And that's real, right? If you haven't found that out already, it's going to happen. There'll be betrayal. Sometimes it might not be intentional. So we want you to taste that. Use your finger. We didn't put a lot of lime on there for you. But for those bitter times, remember, remember the lime you're tasting today. But, you know, try to keep in mind you don't want it to destroy your complete perspective of brother and sister. You know, that's just one experience. That ain't everybody. But remember the honey also. Okay, the next substance we have is salt. And again, before Reverend McDonald in my time, the elders, when they wanted to maintain some meat, they would try to use salt to preserve it, right? You know, they would try to preserve things because they didn't have what? Refrigeration. Okay, so with your finger, you can touch down and taste the salt. It represents that consistency that you're going to need, talked about. But you also need to be flexible. Don't be so dogmatic and hard. You were told in your workshop to be open and try some new stuff. You know, this is the period of time you can learn. That's why in the curriculum, they design the curriculum oftentimes in the core. You got to take a bunch of stuff because there's some things you haven't taken. You might become familiar with it, and it might help you grow or determine what direction you're going. Now, this next substance is very important for any male rites of passage, because what? In the African tradition, young men your age, you're supposed to be what? Warriors. Okay, so we got to recognize that we might not be at war, but somebody is waging war on us. You know, they even want to go to war by changing the curriculum to limit the information that you receive about us. Not even just about us, about the, you know, indigenous folks, about the, you know, Japanese were placed in concentration camps. So you know they don't want to talk about all the lynchings they did of our ancestors. You know what I mean? They don't want to talk about enslaving our ancestors. They don't want to talk about the things that Brother Davis be challenging right now, Brother Bozeman, right? Be challenging right now. They don't want that information to get out because they kind of want to control our mental. They mentioned you were scholars. You're on the front line of that fight. So you got to first, educate yourself. And you got to know that a war is being waged on us, and you got to know what side you're on, right? As young warriors, we ask you, don't go ahead and taste that now. There's this cayenne pepper to represent the hot and critical times that we're in as a people. Hot and critical times we're in as a people. So you got to know that legacy and history, right? In Atlanta in 1906, there was a racial massacre where they were just lynching our people downtown. And during that time, Don Hope, who was the president of what would become Morehouse, he had to get a gun and patrol around the campus with the other faculty members. So we come from a whole legacy of resistance, even on the college campus. And some places on college campuses, black students had to get together, and we're talking about during my lifetime. I know I'm old, but they had to get together and protect themselves. Okay, so you got to be thinking about that. Don't be out there. When I was young, they would say, don't be out there like Willie Lump Lump. You know, Molly mentioned earlier, don't be on your cell phone and don't know what's around you, but also know who you could depend on, who's organizing. That's an important part of our survival and growth as a people. Now, our ancestors teach us, and you could go ahead and taste this, that cool water has no enemy, right after that cayenne pepper. As an elder, I got a little bit of concern. You can go ahead and drink it. You don't have to wait. I ain't going to be too tough on the warriors at this stage. Okay, but cool water. Cool water has no enemy, but you got to remember in those hot and critical times, keep a cool head. To don't go off willy-nilly and doing something that might mean the end of your life, might lead to the end of your matriculation in college. It might have an impact on your people back home, but always keep a cool head, that balance. The next substance we have here is something you might not be familiar with. Unless you come from West Africa. So be careful with it. Just stick your finger and touch it. Touch it and get some out. That's African palm oil. What does that represent? It represents, on the African continent, this was one of the things before our people were enslaved and colonized. Y'all know that term, colonized? They said it in the movie The Black Panther, colonized. You know, it's somebody coming from the outside and controlling it. Okay, that's what colonization is. And so before that, we used to trade amongst ourselves, and one of the items was palm oil. It was used as a medicine, used to cook. Even before I greased up, even before I came here today, so my elbows ashy. Okay, so, but palm oil represents the institutions we had in our community before our colonization. But we got to we sitting in an institution our people built right now. This church, right? Reverend McDonald said this is a safe harbor. Our churches have always been safe harbors for us. It's your responsibility to, whether you start an institution or you support them when you finish, to have some relationship with institutions in our community. Taste it if you haven't already. So you have to help build them. Somebody mentioned in one of the sessions that there might not be no job for you when you come out. So you got to be, you have to think on terms of being an entrepreneur as well. I think it was Reverend McDonald who mentioned that earlier. You got to be able to build. I remember my son graduated from Morehouse with a degree in math and computer science, and there wasn't no jobs available immediately when he got out. My wife said, you better figure out what you could do. So he started tutoring. You know, so you have to think all the time there might not be a job that you have to pray for yourself. And finally, the last substance we have is coconut. In our traditional societies, coconut represents blessings from the spirit. Blessings. So with all the stuff that we talked about today, whether it was the friends you associate with, getting up early and having certain discipline, all that, make sure you got a spiritual base. Spiritual base is not only what you believe, but also what's going to support you, help sustain you, not only through these 4 to 5 years of college, life. So make sure that you get right with whatever your spiritual base is. If it's Islam, if it's Christianity, if it's African traditional religion, if you don't have none of that, just pray. You know, and call upon something that's greater than all of us to come support you. Until you figure it out, you might figure it out while you're there, or that might be good for you for the time being. But recognize that you are not all it is. Human beings ain't all. There's something greater. All of us that created this whole thing. So we ask you to chew on that coconut. Remember the spiritual blessings. So not only through college, but we're talking about the rest of your life. This is the transitional stage, you know, for you to become really. We talk about rites of passions. It's real. We're talking about you really becoming a man, being a responsible adult in this period of your life. And the blessing is that you have. Ashe. Ashe. Ashe.
Turn this way, brothers. Brother White, can you come down? We're going to, Brother White is going to lead. We have two things left, community. Brother White is going to lead these young men in their oath that he wrote and developed specifically for this Let Us Make Man African Sending Forward. They're going to repeat. They're going to repeat after him. And then we will close out with a prayer over these young men. I know that because of COVID, we can't all come up and gather and lay hands, but we're going to extend out and let Rev bless these young men, and then we'll link up. You'll hear from Brother Bozeman. Again, we always got something going, y'all, in terms of the work that we have to do. The enemy never sleeps, so our work and our effort has to be continual. So you can come on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. There's something happening with Let Us Make Man or Black Man Lab. There's always something happening to support. So we just need y'all to keep supporting the way you have today. So thank you for giving us your time. I know the hour is late, but just a little bit longer, and we will close out with these 6 young men.
This was the college student's oath to a caring, committed, and consistent academic journey. I need you all to repeat after me. So when I say I, then you say your full name, and then in a call and response manner, I need you to repeat after me, okay? I say your name. With God the Creator. I need y'all to speak up a little bit. I don't think God the Creator can even hear y'all as low as y'all talking. A little louder. I say your name. With God the Creator, my ancestors, parents, family, and community, as my witness, pledge to commit myself, my talents, knowledge, developing skills, and ability to my intellectual obligations. As a caring student, I say your name, pledge to show unconditional love toward myself through my my attention to my spiritual, physical, mental well-being, and to seek help when my body and mind feel strained, weakened, or less than my best. I pledge to promote self-care. For without care of myself, I am limited in my intellectual pursuits. Furthermore, I say your name, pledge to help and assist my fellow classmates, especially those with whom I share a common history, heritage, and ancestral bond. This I pledge as a common history and well-being dedicated to myself As a committed student, I say your name. Pledge to commit myself to the long-standing tradition of academic and educational success in our communities and families. I commit this intelligence not only for my educational gain, but also for those I meet along the way who are seeking this knowledge. I am committed to honor our ancestors in the arts, sciences, politics, literature, writing, and oral execution, and the law. Finally, as a consistent student, I say your name, pledge to learn new ideas and challenge old ones. I also pledge to consistently invoke my curiosity, raise questions, and seek answers towards improving my understanding and advancing my knowledge. I pledge this as a student given this educational privilege on this day, Saturday, August 7th, 2022. I make this pledge freely and willingly before the eyes of God, ancestors who I evoke, guests who are in attendance, and my peers who are dedicated to a lifetime of caring, commitment, and consistency in my educational attainment. Thank you.
Now, brothers, take one big step forward. Men of Let Us Make Man and Black Man Lab, come and stand behind these brothers. Come on. Reverend McDonald, Baba, y'all have been here. Put your hands on their shoulders, brothers. Come on. Young brothers, we pledge to always have your back. We love you. We believe in you. We support you. You will win, not a doubt. Rev?
Before Reverend Mack dismiss us, I want to say to all of you here, not only this is a ceremony, but we also give scholarship money. So the young people who are standing before you will receive monies from the Let Us Make Man Scholarship Fund. That fund was named for Brother A.B. Jihad's 17-year-old son. And it's important because we say what? Say their names. It's important we say their name. And Doug, I don't know if you have the full list of all those who are receiving scholarships, but it would be good if we can pull that picture up and call their names very quickly. But I want to give Brother Jihad, who we started Let Us Make Man 17, 18 years ago. And the importance of relationship is so critical. I've been knowing Jihad for a number of years, but it wasn't until I was sitting in his business. And he would always talk about his son. And he said to me, I had another son. And so I thought I knew him. But until we got a chance to talk, he said, well, I had another son. I said, well, tell me about that son. And that's when he told me about Muhammad Jihad. And then I began to do my own research and talk to his wife and said, there's no way we can have a scholarship fund and not cause this young man's name to be remembered. So for all of those who will receive monies from us, scholarships from us, we want you to know we do it in the name of Muhammad, one who is worthy of praise, one praised much, because of we learned who his character was. And he was funny, he was witty, He loved, he was intergenerational. He had a relationship with his grandmother that was uncommon. And we said we want to call his name long after now what is his transition. So let's receive Brother A.B. Jihad or whatever comment he wants.
Good afternoon. I just wanted to say two things, if I could. I just left a meeting, convention, downtown Atlanta. This is to the brothers, young brothers. And if the convention has 12 to 13,000 young black men, all invest 73, something like that. One of the speakers at the billionaire black guy, last name Peoples. I did not know today. Mr. Peoples lives in New York City, developer. And Mr. Peoples, brother that looked like you and I, process building the tallest building, third tallest building in Western tallest building, 42nd Street, downtown. I wanted to say that to you, let you know that our potential is unlimited. And right now, the previous governor, Cuomo, given the program of GO. Once he resigned, new governor put a hold on it, tried to say to them, they have to send it out, request for proposal. This particular brother, Brother Peoples, and his partners went to present their program, their bid. They went to the bid table with $2 billion cash. Say that they were capable of building all this building. That to me was inspirational, something that I didn't know as a 70-year-old man. Astute reader. I only say that to you brothers to say that it's potential for whatever you decide to do, there. The last thing I'll say, if I could, Brother Bozeman has blessed the brothers of Let Us Make Man, but led by Brother Bozeman, has blessed my son, Muhammad. Brother Bozeman talked about it, killed in a car accident at 17 years old. He has blessed this brother, my son, to go to college, more colleges than I could have imagined in the world. and I say that to say that you 6 brothers, you're going to school for Muhammad. And if anything else fails, just remember you have to complete this for Muhammad. Thank you very much.
I, Brother Doug, who chairs our scholarship committee, will call all the names of young people who receive scholarship. Let me also say, very special scholarship. Did I see Arthur in here? Did Mike Langford? Come up, Art. Many of you know that one of clearly the best friend I ever had in the world, and certainly a prayer partner with Reverend McDonald, was Michael Langford. I still am in shock, thank you. His son and my godson, actually, when he was born, his father said, look after this youngest one of his, because he told his brother Arthur to look after his oldest one, who was still alive. And so I said I would do that. When Mike made his transition last year, we named a scholarship fund. I said I raise every dime. I charged the brothers to raise money for everybody else, and then I said I'm going to raise the money, give it in the name of Michael Langford, who was the biggest supporter we've had here at Let Us Make Man. So 2 young people who received that scholarship is a total of $5,000 that will be divided by them 2. It's Doug Evans, the 4th. Doug, and Zion Rice, who is not here, will receive that. And so we're glad to do that. I'm glad to be joined by Mike's youngest son, Arthur, who asked, what do he need to do to be a part of Let Us Make Man? I said, it's not possible, but show up at all our events, and the board will vote at some point, right? Doug Evans, who chairs our scholarship committee, will now call some of the young people already in college So keep them lifted in prayer. And so he's going to tell you all of the young people, high school, that were a part of our scholarship program this year.
Thank you, DB. We have so many that left already to move in, Baba AK, and they wanted to be here. And in the spirit of Mali and Songay and Timbuktu and the Moors and all the institutions that led to these colleges that today we find our liberal arts and sciences, we want to call on these names. And Brother Bozeman is so modest that we raised this money for almost 15 years, plus $30,000 plus every year without one corporate sponsor. And he's doing it just out of the love and the love from you all in the community that we're able to give these scholarships. So I want to call the names of those mostly who could not be here, but so that great cloud of witnesses, Rev, can look down on them today and say that dream is fulfilled. Cameron Wansley from Clarkston High School. Mays Butts from Arabia Mountain. Rodney Tabb from Chapel Hill High School. Sean Johnson from Richmond Hill High School. Philip Green Jr. from Grayson High School. Doug Evans IV, Maynard Jackson. Dontravius Williams from Charles Drew High School in Riverdale. John Davis Regis, another one from Cristo Rey here in Atlanta. Philip Fenner from KIP, Atlanta. Sharif Muhammad from McDonough High School. Devin Jones from Charles Drew High School in Riverdale. Robert Jeffrey from Decatur High School. Samuel Sawumni from Charles Drew High School in Riverdale. Kahinde Adisigun from Charles Drew High School in Riverdale. Nicholas Williams from South Gwinnett High School. Marquez Sharp, Charles Drew High School. Carla Naxie, Mountain View. Vincent George Jr. from Elite Scholars. Joshua Strickland, Fulton Leadership Academy. Christopher Ruiz, who was our first to submit, Brother Bozeman, our very first applicant to turn in. From Douglas County High School. Jacob Robertson, Tucker High School. Baron Walker from the Galloway School. Amir Muhammad from Blackstone Academy. Donovan Wright from Heritage High School. Joshua Seabrooks from Elite Scholars. Prince Bowie from Discover High. Nashawn Smith, another one from Decatur High School. And Kosi Brown, another one from KIP, Atlanta. Ryan Buffing from Dunwoody High School. Q Parker Jr., another one from Cristo Rey in Atlanta. Kelsey Graham from Alatoona High School. Yanni Callahan from Dutchtown High School. And those are our 2022 scholars.
Thank you all so much for being here. We're getting ready to dismiss now. I want everyone to stand, if you will. And then the Baptist church tradition in a lot of places, particularly in smaller towns, when the preacher was getting ready to preach and we weren't able to touch him, we would ask the membership to just stretch your hands towards these brothers. Just stretch your hands out towards them. Let that spirit move. Let's pray. O Creator God, the mover, the giver of all life, we come to you with thanksgiving on behalf of these your sons, whom you are not calling to go forth. We thank you for letting us make man for all of these who pour into these young men wisdom, knowledge, understanding, compassion, love. We thank you for the community who came today, for the parents, the extended community, to let them know that they're never alone, that we will always be there, shoulder for them to cry on, shoulders to lean on, legs to walk beside, hearts to feel, eyes to share the vision, hands to work. Now as we send them forth, O God, we ask thy blessings upon them, that you would be before them to lead them, behind them to look after them, beneath them to support them, and above them to inspire. May they always know that they represent a family, a larger community, that they are no longer just individuals, but they are a part of Let Us Make Man. They are a part of the community of faith. They are a part of a culture, an African culture, where only excellence is our standard. Take them forth, O God, into this crazy and mean world. Let them be the kind of men that sets the standard of excellence, that sets the standard of compassion, that sets the standard for giving back to our people, that we all might move forward together. As we send them forth, O God, we send them under the umbrella of your power, that no weapon formed against them shall ever prosper. And greater is you who is in them than he that is in the world. We send them forth with the knowledge, as they stand on the shoulders of the ancestors, that this is only the beginning. Commencement is not the end. It is the beginning of a new journey, a new life, a new standard, a new way. We bless you, O God. We thank you for them. And we pray that as they travel, they will be all that you have called them to be. Circle them now with your love as we extend your spirit into them. Go forth, my brothers, and represent. In the name of the Creator, the ancestors, the Lord of us all, we do pray. Amen. Go forth. Stay where you are for a minute.
We just ask that you repeat. We let all of the brothers know that we've got their back, but we all are connected, and we just say, and you could just repeat after me, I am a link in this chain, and it won't break here. I am a link in this chain, and it won't break here. We are links in this chain, and we won't break here. Ashe. All right. Thank you all. God bless you. I need to get